Pass Your Instrument Pilot Checkride 2.0 by Jason Schappert. Read by Jason Schappert. This book is unlike anything else on the market. No other product offers real-world checkride questions that not only exceed ACS guidelines, but is written from the perspective of a designated pilot examiner. Use this book to quiz yourself. Find ways to immerse yourself in these questions. Make them a part of your thought process. However, don't just focus on the Q&A. Memorization is not our goal, and it shouldn't be yours. I never advocate for someone to just learn the answers. I always want you to learn why. Rote memorization will only get you so far, and the designated pilot examiners, well, they're experts at digging deeper. You must have a true understanding of the materials the FAA requires you to be familiar with. This book will be your guide through the checkride process. If you use it well, it will ultimately lead you to success. Let's get started. Chapter 1, Making Sure You're Ready. What are the requirements for applying for an instrument pilot rating? In order to qualify for an instrument rating, you must accomplish the following requirements. Hold a private pilot certificate, a working knowledge of the English language, logged ground training in IFR aside from practical lessons, at least a 70% score on the FAA knowledge test, and flight experience of at least 50 hours of cross-country flight time as pilot in command, 40 hours of actual or simulated training in the following areas of instrument flying. A. Instrument training from a certificated flight instructor with instrument rating, CFII, for at least 15 hours. B. An additional 3 hours of training by a CFI within 2 calendar months, usually 60 days, before the practical test. C. At least one cross-country flight of purely IFR with a flight plan encompassing at least 250 nautical miles. The flight should also involve 3 different instrument-aided approaches. D. Your flight training can include up to 20 hours of simulation experience using an FAA-approved flight training device. Now, I want to add something here. It's important to know that you do need 50 hours of cross-country time logged at the time of your checkride. However, you can start the flight training process for your instrument rating upon completion of your private. What areas of operations should a pilot be proficient in for an IFR rating? These areas are as follows. Complete a practical test with an FAA inspector or FAA designated pilot examiner. Pre-flight preparation and procedures. Aircraft control, clearances, and procedures. Instrument flying. Navigation systems. Approach procedures. Emergency operations. Post-flight procedures. Chapter 2, IFR Flight Planning. When is the pilot required to file a flight plan? The pilot in command is required to file a flight plan half an hour before the estimated time of departure in order to receive clearance from air traffic control. The flight plan is required to operate in controlled airspace under IFR. Now, it's a good idea to get this in at least 30 minutes ahead of time to allow your flight plan to be forwarded to the controlling agency. Can you cancel your flight plan? You may cancel your flight plan when it has shifted to VFR conditions outside of Class A airspace. Take note that you may have to prescribe to other established procedures upon cancellation of your IFR flight plan in such areas such as Class B or Class C airspace, as well as designated TIRSA areas. Can you file a flight plan with both VFR and IFR portions? Yes. Under AIM 5-1-7, you can specify such a flight plan. This is called a composite flight plan. If you file a composite flight plan and have switched to VFR, double check that the IFR portion of the plan was closed properly when you arrive at your destination. When filing a flight plan, would you request your initial or final
Sample complete. Ready to continue?